Hello there. During the last several months, the Logseq team has been re-architecting Logseq app to support a new storage layer, which led to the name Logseq database. The same application can run both markdown graphs and can also run the outliner graph and store its data into a database, and the database is SQLite. Why did they choose to introduce this new functionality? With the Markdown version, they've had some challenges with performance and also with the reliability of data synchronization across devices. With that, the new architecture essentially addresses those challenges and also allows the application to provide some data synchronization between users. So, with that, this is a demo of the mobile app, which is on the iOS operating system. So this is on iPhones that I'm going to demo here. So let's look at our agenda here. So we are going to do an overview of the user interface, and we'll look at main features, graph management, outlining capabilities, and we'll also look at the quick add capability, and we'll look at views, and then we'll wrap up with what's next. So let's get started. So as we can see here, when we open Logseq, we land on the home page. The home page is the journal, the list. So I can scroll through, so from one day to another, and we see that I've added these nodes here because I intended to do this recording yesterday. So, but I'm going to embed this one here so it stays in my current today's journal because I'm working on it officially today, right? So when I click on a node here, the action bar opens up and I can click on the slash command here and I will do node embed, and then I will do iOS demo and it will give me that node, and just like that I've embedded it. So if you're new to Logseq, this basically is like a replica, an exact clone of the same data that we see in my yesterday's journal. Okay, so now now that we have that done, let's look at the overall view here. So the top, we have the calendar icon. When we click on it, we can use these dates to navigate back and forth between journal dates. That's basically what this is for. And at the center, when we click on that title, that's my graph name, and I can switch between graphs here. And on the right side, this icon is the Logseq synchronization, which I'm going to cover in a bonus section towards the end. And when we click on the triple dot on this view, this will open up the user profile or setting, which I'm not going to do because it has my login information, so login email. So instead of showing it, I made a screenshot so we can change the theme there, so light and dark, and we can report a bug. And if you have some issues and want to collect some log and share it with the team, you can do that, and you can log out as well. So this application does not require you to log in and use it. But if you want to use synchronization, data synchronization, then currently Logseq Sync is the way, and you will need to log in and have access to the Logseq Sync and in order to use it. Okay, now that's the top part. Now the top part is going to change depending on what you're doing. So if I click on this journal title, for example, we see that the graph name changes and becomes the page name. And next to the page name here, we have a star. So if I uncheck it, that means I've unfavored this page, but I'm going to do it because I'll be showing it to you momentarily. And so as far as navigation goes here, I can click on a node icon and then drill down. I can keep doing the same thing and I can drill down. And if I want to go back, click on the back button right here. So I'm going to scroll down for a moment and then look at another node. So I'll say quick add. I can keep drilling down, right? So which is one of the benefit of outlining. So when we navigate to nodes, because we're going from page to node and so on, we have the triple dots here is available. We can click on that and delete a node if we wanted to. That's one way. Now I can drag a node. When we drag a node, we have the option to copy. We can indent and outdent, we can delete, we can copy a reference to a node, and we can copy a URL. So let's for example, do copy URL. And this is beneficial to, for example, integrate with other apps. I could, for example, copy that and then go back to, let's say, my journal here. I'll scroll down and then actually let me to go back to home, go back. Okay. All right. I'm using, okay, there you go. So I'm going to get over here. Something is not working right for me here. Okay, so there you go. And I'm going to paste it. So when I paste this, this is a reference, this is a link to that specific node. So if I were to hit enter and then add it, if I click on this, it will take me straight to that node, which is pretty cool. So imagine you want to, you're doing some work in another application and you want to reference some knowledge in your Logseq graph. You can capture that link like that, add it over wherever that application is, and then it will allow you to come to this. So that's what that's for. But one thing to note here, anytime you select items here, you can basically use these action items, and I can do on select. So that's that. Now let's look at how we can use we can add and data pretty much, right? So when we click on a node here, we have some items. I mean, some action bar items here. So I can do demo. If I type demo, if I want to indent, we can do it this way. I can now dent, right? And if I want to undo, this is the undo button, and there is also a redo button on the right side here. So let's undo for a second, and you can see that it's undoing, and just like that. And I'm going to redo. Now that we've redone it, I want to make this a task, just simple as this, right? And then if I wanted to add a tag to it, this would be it. But what we're going to do is I'm going to hit enter here, and then I'll say good morning. Okay, and I want to set a tag to it. For example, let's say I want to make this a quote, just like that. I can set a quote tag to it. If you wanted to set your own tag, that's doable too. Yeah, click on that, and then you can type it out, right? So I will say let's do a habit. Why not, right? So and then hit enter and enter, just like that. It created a new tag. So that means when I click on this tag, I'll see the node that has that tag. Okay, so this is in a nutshell what we have. And what about the rest, right? So we will cover some of these items when we create a brand new graph. So but let's bring the keyboard down, and then we are going to switch to the graph view for a moment. So when we look at the graph view, we see local graph. What does that mean? I can create a new graph and call it note and submit. The graph has been created already. Okay, so how do we prove that? Click on graph, we see it. This graph is local to my phone, and the ones at the middle, these are graphs that I've been synchronized with Logseq Sync. Okay, if I want to turn this notes graph into a graph that will be synchronized, I want to access, let's say, from my laptop, I'll enable Logseq Sync. And once I click on that, it disappears from local graph and shows up at the bottom here. Let me refresh for a second. We see that it's been synchronized already. It's done. If I wanted to delete from the Logseq server, we can do that here, or we can click and delete it from the graph from my phone here. Okay. Now, these lock icons, what does it mean? What do they mean, really? Because here we only have the cloud, but we don't have a lock icon, right? So this is the encryption that is enabled on a graph. What does that mean? When I create a graph and when I create my Logseq account, I can opt to enable encryption, and most people should, right? And how does that work? And what does it mean? The encryption key belongs to just me. Nobody else knows about that encryption key or password. Once I set it, what happens with it is my graph gets encrypted, it gets scrambled up basically, before it transits through the wire and goes through Logseq Sync servers, and then transit from there to go to my desktop, for example, or laptop, and back and forth. So the scrambled data is what goes through the wire and decrypted on my machine or my phone. That's basically what this means here. Okay. Now, these graphs were created way before encryption was enabled, and I kept them that way this way. They're testing one, so that's fine. Now, this bottom section now, let's cover that. These graphs have been shared by other users. So let's recap a little bit. So Logseq Sync can be used by a single person to synchronize graphs between, let's say, iOS, iPadOS, macOS, Windows, and on a browser. The graph is still local, and the synchronization just goes through the wire. Okay, so in these examples at the bottom here, these graphs were shared by Logseq community members. Now, I do have some graphs in here that I'm sharing with some users. This one, for example. So, but when they're coming from other folks, they will show up at the bottom here. And you can see there's a leave this graph as an option here. So that's that. Now, this triple dot on the graph menu allows us to do import of a graph. So let's say I were to do an export of my graph and then send you the SQLite file. You should be able to import it on your phone, or you would do it on desktop. So that's what this is for. Okay. So now with that said, let's look at the go-to. So go-to, if you remember, let's switch to this graph that has more data, right? So when we click on go-to, if you remember, we had favored a page. That page is right here under favorite. And then just like on the desktop app, anytime you navigate from page to page and you go to the tag views and so on, your recent history will basically show those items here. That's what this is. And then next, the search. The search will search through your graph. And we are going to search for Claude here. And then I'll pick Claude code. Once I click on that, it takes me straight up to that node, right? And for engineers using code blocks, you can see that the code blocks shows up pretty nicely here. So this code block has nothing to do really with Claude Code, but anyway, it's just there as for illustration. So now, one thing that we know so well about Logseq, if you've been using it, is the concept of linking and with backlinks and so on, right? So we have linked references and unlinked references. So they show up just like on a desktop app. You can create additional views if I were to click on that, but this video is not for that. But here we see at the bottom that Cloud code has been mentioned here and in some node, and we see it right here. Okay, so now what if I want to change the views? With Logseq database mode, we have three types of views so far. We can do list view, we can do graph view, and we can do gallery view. There will be more views created down the road, like Kanban. But right now, the view we're looking at is, let's bring this down. This is the this is the list view. So if I wanted to change this to make a table view, and it changes just like that. So we have a table view. And if you want to scroll horizontally and see your properties assigned to that node in table view, you can do that. So where do we apply views in general? Views will show up under linked references. They will also show up under, they'll show up with queries, and they will show up on tags as well. Okay, so I'm going to change this back to list view. Okay, so now I'm going to click on this this page right here, MCP and so on, and this is an article. So what I've done here, I've added a page called MCP gatekeepers and so on, right? And then I've tagged it as an article. It's got a label and whatnot, and more information's here. Now, when we scroll down, we can pretty much have the same fun we have with the desktop application. Okay, so I'm going to click on article here. And once I do that, we can see the list of articles that I have in my graph. And the same experience that we kind of expect on the desktop side, we have them here. So we have, we can scroll horizontally and so on and so forth in order to see it. And if I wanted to expand and see my properties assigned to this tag, I can see them right here. So if I wanted to add one, I'll just click and add a new property, but this video is not for that. So we're going to skip it. So let's look at the bottom again, just to see we have linked references this time here instead of unlinked references. Okay, so just like that, we covered searches. All right, now we are going to cover the last piece here, which is capture. So for capture, we are going to switch to our brand new graph. Okay. Actually, let me go this way, and then I'm going to click notes. Okay. So this new graph we created here, okay, we have an option to do a quick capture. So how do we access the quick capture? We have that option right here. Now, the other way of accessing the quick capture, which I have done, is you can use the action button and then program it so that when you click on the action button, it opens up. Okay, so this action button will open the using, you can even program it with Apple Shortcut, but it will land you here for you to quickly jot some notes, write down some note, and you can also do audio capture. So let's start, right? So in this example, instead of typing, because it's faster to dictate, I'm using iOS dictation. So just like that, I've captured some text, right? So this right here, if I wanted to apply some heading to it, I'll say heading 3, just like that, it changes. Okay. Now, what if I wanted to change it and say, well, I'm going to underline it. That'll give me this option right here. So, but next, I want to turn this into a task. Sure, it works, right? So let's click at the bottom here. And if we wanted to add some images, we have the camera icon, which we have skipped early on. So with this camera icon, if I click on it, I can take a picture and it opens up, take a picture, use the photo, and then it will add that picture just like that. So, and let's continue. That's as simple. I don't think we need to explain anything else after that experience. So I'm gonna add some extra nodes here. So what else is there to do? We have one more feature as a quick add, which is the audio capture and transcription. So if I click on this icon, it will have the same effect as this one right here. And we will see that it will add that audio to as a node, and then it will transcribe it. So now that we've captured all of this button right here is to submit it to our current journal. So you can keep compiling this out, and then at some point you choose to send it to your daily journal. So you can, sometime I can have this going on for a day or two and then submit. Once we do that, we go back to home. We can see that in my current journal, it's been appended. So I can select this. And once I do, we have these options here. So now if I wanted to change and say, let's say iOS, I'm going to select that. I want to make a backlink out of it. So iOS, just like that. So if I were to click on iOS, it will take me to the iOS page, and we see that iOS page has a link reference to this node. And if I wanted to favor iOS, I'll click on that. If I want to see, iOS is in my favorite here. So pretty straightforward, and it works nicely. All right, now let's switch back to the main graph, and we will do a recap. So when we started, one thing I had done quickly was to change the task status. So you can see here, once I click on the task status, we can change it. So I'll say in review for now. And the task priority, same thing. I could have changed it to whatever else. So I'll say urgent, why not? And and then at the bottom here, because I added some checklist items to talk about, so I'm going to cross them off. So did we cover the view? That's the one we just did. So I'm going backward. So we covered capturing notes, and we cover audio recording. So quick add has been taken care of. So we also cover the outlining functionality, going back and forth and so on. Graph management, we've created some graphs. We've looked at the shared graph, local graph, and the remote graph. So we cover the main features, and we've covered in depth the user interface. So we've taken care of all of these. So now, one bonus that I'm going to show you here is there will be two. So here's one. So my journal, I do habit tracking, and apply some properties to my journal tag. So that way, these properties will show on my journals. You see these circles right here. In reality, when I click on them, I can, for example, say, well, have I read today or listened to some podcast or did some kind of training? So reading is what I went through, right? And I haven't listened to much music today, and I've had some quiet time, and not sunny day today. It's been dark, so maybe tomorrow. And then as far as staying active, so fair bit of walking today, more to come. The day is still going on. And as far as mood goes, I have this right here that sits right next to the journal, and I'm inspired today. So here we are. Now, you may be wondering, what is this icon sitting right next to this journal again? I think I've touched on that, right? So shouldn't be a surprise. Icons are fun. So if I click on that, I can change the icon that I set on a given page. You can set them on nodes as well. So that's what this is. All right. So if you've been paying attention until now, thank you. And there is this little goodies right here that you may have noticed, and it's been incrementing and decrementing as I've been doing some work. So look at it. It's not 8 out of 8 anymore. It's gonna drop to 6 out of 8. What's going on here? So I have this graph synchronized with my desktop. So it's going through Logseq Sync and to that to the same graph basically on my machine. Okay, and I have a new plugin that's been created by a Logseq community called Checklist. And this plugin relies on this checklist tag, and anytime we have some checkboxes underneath of it, it will basically keep track of the completion of those checkboxes. Now you may be wondering, well, is the plugin installed on the iOS app? The answer is no. But here's what's been happening. Because I have my Logseq app running right now on the desktop on my laptop, when I'm making changes here, if I click and uncheck this outlining checkbox, it is synchronizing. Let's do one again. You're gonna notice that the synchronization green is gonna turn orange real quick. It blips, it synchronizes with Logseq Sync, and then syncs with my laptop. And then the plugin running on the laptop basically catches that change and then changes that data, and then the graph synchronizes from my laptop again and comes back so fast that I'm getting the progress change on my node here. So this is just the power of the synchronization. So anyhow, you can see everything changed. So with that, thank you for listening. I'm going to mark this task as done. I hope this was informative. And as far as what is coming next, I am planning to do some demos of Logseq CLI, a demo of Logseq using some AI chat applications like Claude and with Logseq MCP, so we can see how we can add data into Logseq. I'm probably going to do another tour of the desktop app because a lot of changes have been introduced again. So I think it may be good to do a refresher so people have an updated version of the current demo I have out there. And I may do some, again, like always, I don't script my stuff for the most part, so they're all unfiltered. So I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to do some to showcase what we can currently do with Logseq. So stay tuned. So hopefully during the next couple of days, I'll be dropping those in to hopefully help everybody see what we can do with Logseq. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, bye.